Chapter 1. Scars of the past Milana. My family had been destroyed, not just dead, but burned to ash before my eyes. Their blood spilled and soaked through the pressed earth. I ran as far as I could, promising to avenge them. Embers of rage take time to nurture into an inferno, one that threatens to boil my blood and burn my bones. Flames that will destroy the leader of the desert order. Scorching sun, dehydration, and starvation nearly killed me when I ran from my oppressor Desmond, the one who killed everyone I loved. My suffering furthered my bitterness until I could taste it. In the 5 years that have passed, I've learned that Desmond's hunters would do anything to find me. Spies lurked in every societal order, and even amongst the nomad wild people. I traveled on my own and survived by never staying in one place too long. Every creak of a branch was my sign to move on, and it had kept me relatively safe. My luck caught up with me several days ago. Imprisonment is more annoying than the thought of death, but neither will stop me from killing the man who took everything from me. Although Desmond is far away in the desert, his lackeys make him impossible to forget. Omar, in particular, earned my resentment. His right-hand man that hunted me relentlessly for years. While my hatred runs hot in my blood, the cool air around me in this dungeon keeps me sane. Being detained wasn't what I would call fun, especially when I did nothing more than wander onto an order's land. The stone walls and pressed dirt floor were dark, with water dripping in the distance, and mice scurrying when I was left to the quiet. The cadence of drips and scurries kept me company. Drip, scurry, drip, drip, scurry, squeak, drip. For days, that was all I heard. Catching up on sleep was an on and off experience, and as much as I hated to admit it, I did need the sleep. Being on the run for 5 years was exhausting, yearning for my freedom once more to roam the countryside, the plains and rolling hills. Climbing the treetops and sleeping among the stars, being a nomad, was the most liberating experience. If not for the running for my life every few months when the desert hunters would finally catch up. Bothersome that was, but it was better than the alternative. Better to be running than Desmond's plaything. The thought made bile rise in my throat. Years ago, when I was a small child, my Gunna once told me about the world before the calamity. Sweet Milana. It was a land full of steel and concrete. Cities of it with people everywhere. A steel jungle of everyone going everywhere and nowhere all at once. I was a young woman and had so many friends, and yet none I would give my life for. The moon was only as big as the tip of my thumb. Truly, I yelled in astonishment as I climbed onto her lap. Truly, she confirmed with a soft smile. And it would come and go in phases. How to put this? Sometimes we would see the moon and others we would not. The shadow of the earth would hide it for a night, and then it would come out bit by bit until we could see the whole circle. My eyes were so wide with wonder, I couldn't even find words. Now, we see the moon constantly, day and night. She is a sense of peace and warning. I wonder what other parts of the world were changed, living in hiding until it was safe to come out. I had your mother in a steel fortress underground. I never left the desert, but I fear it is my time to go soon. The travelers of old told me that the mountains are larger, the animals more terrifying, and so much more. I long to see it, my sweet. Footsteps invaded the hush of the dungeon, and my fond memory. Steps that were sure and steady. I remembered those steps, although it's been a few days. Lyran, the leader of the Eagle Point Order, approached while I sat on a cold, hard floor surrounded by darkness. But he was not the source of my rage. I had not heard of this order before, and I've seen my share of them over the years. Most of the time, unless necessary, I avoided them. Lyron's breath was steady as the silence stretched between us as I sat on the ground, leaning my back against the stone. There was no light, only the darkness and the sounds within. Smart, but harder for me to plan an escape when I had no idea what was to the left or right of me. The first day I'd arrived, I remembered his stunning obsidian hair, loosely braided down to his waist, almost a shade of the darkest blue, like a sapphire in the moonlight. Darkened tan skin made me wonder if he was from the Ocean Order, and amethyst eyes I'd never seen before stared at me in the candlelight in determination when he ordered his second in command to monitor me. Judging by the schedule they fed me, I knew I'd been here for a few days at least. But then, it was hard to know for sure, since they only seemed to bring my food as I slept. Their servings were meager at best. His voice was grave and calm, ominous, and yet comforting.